Lefty? Come here. No. Come here.
Lou.
Yeah. Give me 1 second, bro.
Yeah, me too.
Treaty, come here. Get over here.
All right, so this is our
hold on 1
first.
second. I got to capture my dog. Give me a second.
All right. We only got 2 people watching anyway. At the moment.
Come on, Treaties. Come on. Come here.
Let me see in the comments. If you're in the comments, say it, make a comment.
Okay.
Rugo, what's up? And make sure y'all hit the like button. Fat. What up? What up? What up? What up?
All right, I'm back, bro.
All right, you back?
Yeah.
You supposed to put your DBE logo. You see how I got my Chicken Talk logo on the screen?
Yeah, I don't know how to fucking do that, bro. I don't know how to fucking. You think I know how to do that kind of shit? Hold on, let me see if I can figure this out. Hold on. How do you put a logo there?
Actually, when you first come in, you pass the point. You can't do it.
Oh,
now.
edit audio avatar. Is that it?
Yep. Then you got to go through your.
Oh, I see. Okay, hold on.
Let me share this screen.
Hold on, I'll throw an avatar up.
Okay. All right. So y'all see that? Yeah, hit the like button, everybody. There we go.
Work, bro?
Yep. That way they know for sure it's you. You know,
That's right.
They might think I'm capping. I got a what you call it, imposter on here. But I'm gonna put up this screen where we're gonna go through some fights. We're gonna do a couple fights for y'all.
All right.
Well, we're gonna start off first. Of course, is this fight this weekend: Yarde versus Beterbiev. Now, these odds on this fight is just like ridiculous. Minus 1,000.
No, actually, they're perfect odds. They're correct.
Why you say that?
I think they're the right odds. But I'll say this: if you have a hunch on Yarde, or you really like, you're a Yarde fan, or you're some Brit that always believes your guys can beat anybody, go ahead and have some fun. I wouldn't touch Beterbiev like laying it. I never in my life have I laid 1,000 to win 100. And this goes to a general issue, Lefty, which is right now, it's not the best. Like, there's so many shit, like one-sided fights in terms of the odds, that you got to be sort of silly or just having fun with $5, $10, $20, doing some parlays or picking some rounds. I have a bet I've been working on all week that I like involves the Yarde fight. But like, I mean, if I believed that Yarde was going to win, I was rooting for Yarde. I was a big fan of whatever I bet on Yarde. I would never. I think personally that Yarde's going to get knocked out, and I think personally that Beterbiev will stay undefeated. But if anyone thinks I'm ever betting $1,000 to win 100, you don't know me.
No,
so
it's silly.
Yeah, it's silly. So I mean, put your fucking money in the bank. So I'm not doing that. I don't believe this fight goes the distance. Period. I think Yarde's only chance is for the fight to be a barroom brawl, and he lands hard. I think he's going to have to throw it all out early in the fight to see if he can get Beterbiev's attention or hurt him, or lay some activity on him. I don't disrespect Yarde. He's a tough kid and he's strong, but his only chance in this fight is a puncher's chance. And how many times has Beterbiev ever been hurt? I mean, do you think Yarde's slick enough to outbox him? so I don't. So in my mind, this fight is something to throw into a parlay involving either the fight not going the distance, or if you're a Beterbiev fan, you take the fight. I don't think you take the Beterbiev side. If you had a real hunch on Yardy, you might play Yardy for a little bit of money, or put the Yardy side into a parlay of some kind. Personally, what I like for tomorrow, like my bet of the weekend, what I'm gonna play. I don't think the Roca fight with the African guy is going to go the distance, and I don't think this fight is going to go the distance.
But
and
you say it won't go the distance because they got him at minus 625 not to go the distance, but they also have Beterbiev at minus 375 for KO, TKO, DQ.
I'm looking. I mean, I made 2 bets through my Caesars app, and I don't know why I'm advertising Caesars because I think they suck. Not that I think the hotel chain sucks. I just think that the app sucks.
Yeah.
But I'm weirdly loyal to Caesars and have that app on my phone, so I continue to use it. But what I'm playing is Beterbiev by KO, TKO, or DQ with the Roca not going the distance, and I'm also playing. I split my bet, and not that I think that Yard has a real good chance. I don't think Yard has a real good chance, but is it Yard, by the the way? Is it Yard?
Yard. Anthony Yard. I don't know.
What's the correct pronunciation? I rather pronounce it correctly. But
I think it's Yarde.
Okay, well then I think that you could also play because it doesn't. I think it's the bet I put in was like minus 140 if you took Beterbiev by KO with the Roca fight not going the distance, and like minus 175 if you took both fights not going the distance. So I parlayed it at minus 175 that both fights don't go the distance. That's my bet of the weekend. Roca, he's not a pure puncher. I mean, he's an active guy. He throws a lot of punches. He's got some power. The other guy is old. He's primarily a Ghanaian domestic African fighter. As tough as he is, he's never been knocked out. But he's a 35-pounder. It's very different for a 35-pounder at welterweight fighting a real guy. I don't think that fight goes the distance. And the reason I didn't take Roca by knockout was because on my app, Roca by knockout as part of a parlay was minus 270. Fight not going the distance was minus 270.
Yeah.
So why not cover the risk that maybe Roca breaks his leg in the ring or something and the other guy wins? I just took the minus 270, doesn't go the distance because it was the same odds.
Yeah.
But like I wouldn't touch really. I don't believe in Yardy enough that I'm going to bet him in the fight. I think the fight's not going to go the distance. I think the Roca fight's not going to go the distance, and I parlayed the two. It's not a great return, but I feel sort of comfortable about the bet. I have to think that Roca's going to want to impress, that he's going to want to be at his best. He has a substitute opponent in front of him who's an older domestic African guy who's much smaller.
Now, so have you heard of this guy before this fight was announced?
I not like heard of him, but like he lost years ago to Emmanuel Tego when Tego, like years ago, like a decade ago. Right. And Tego's a true small guy, not a power puncher, more of a mover. Right. And Tego beat him years ago. And when he stepped up to anything better, this guy hasn't won. He hasn't been knocked out or knocked down, but if you look at most of the opposition, you wouldn't figure that he would be. So I think he's rugged and I think he's decent. I think Ghanaian fighters tend to be warriors. But this guy's a 35-pounder, man. And if you look at he looks like he's got some wear and tear on him, and he's short notice. I tend to think this is not going. I mean, I don't see any way this guy's going 12 rounds with Roca.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
100%. And one thing I'm damn sure of, like I'm more sure than that Beterbiev and Yarde's not going the distance than I am that Beterbiev's winning. Right? Because I'm like, I pretty much am certain in my mind, I'm convinced that Beterbiev knocks him out. But Yarde's only chance to win is to go balls to the wall and try to land something on on Beterbiev. So I see the fight not going the distance, period.
Yeah.
So, but I got to be honest with you, man. I looked over bets for the next fucking month. And unless you're just playing with a couple of bucks, because frankly, some of these fights, when I look at the odds, I know who's going to win every fucking fight. And I'm not even going to be watching most of them. But if you want to make yourself watch by having a little bit of action, you could be sort of cute and bet rounds and you know, play around a little bit. But like, I mean, other than as on a pure boxing level, the only fight that's coming in the next month that or so that I find particularly interesting to bet on is the Oshaki Foster fight, because style wise, I love getting him as an underdog to you know, to the dude he's fighting. Who's he fighting?
Ray Vargas.
Ray Vargas, yeah. I mean, I just style wise, it's I think a difficult matchup for Vargas, and I think getting Oshaki at those kind of odds, I like him at those odds.
Yeah. You got Oshaki at plus 270.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's no way in the world that fight should be plus 270.
Exactly. No. You used to promote Oshaki, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was his early losses? He had two early losses.
I mean, he lost to. I'm spacing out now.
Yeah, me too.
It doesn't really matter who he lost to, but I mean, look, he can box and he's got some pop. You know, I don't miss working with the people around him, but he's a good fighter, and he certainly shouldn't be if you're just looking at purely, you know, objectively looking at the odds. I'm not saying that you can't rationalize having Vargas a favorite, but not this much of a favorite.
And Vargas is moving up in weight.
All the value in the bet, in my view, is with Foster. That doesn't mean he's winning. It just means the value of the odds are with Foster.
I agree 100%. And another fight we were going to cover is the what was that? Caleb Plant and David Benavidez. Now this one, there's some value in that. David Benavidez is a -2. I got him at -250 favorite.
I don't know. You know, Caleb's got a tough style. There's a lot of bad blood in the fight, but the bad blood, whenever you have bad blood in a fight, it favors, in my mind, the bigger puncher, more aggressive guy. Where do you see the value, Lefty?
I see the excuse me. I see the value in what do you call it? Benavidez by decision at -220. I got him at -220 early because I don't think he's going to knock out Caleb. I mean, Benavidez is a hard puncher, but he didn't even stop Darrell. If I recall, it's not no cuts.
I'm laying off that fight, honestly. I don't have a strong feeling. I could see it going. If it goes the distance, is there any scenario I could see Caleb frustrating him and winning a decision? Yeah. I think Benavidez is very big and strong, and I sort of I mean, I think your bet. I think the most likely outcome is the Benavidez decision, but do I want to lay 220 to win 100 on that particular? I don't feel strong enough about that fight, and my rooting interest isn't strong enough in that fight that I'm gonna bet it.
I feel you on that one. Now, what about this? Is more your area expertise, not mine. But the two women's fight, Amanda Serrano and Erica Cruz. Serrano is all the way up to -550 underdog. I mean, it's favorite now, and Cruz is +480.
Yeah, well, I said, see, I'm never going -550 on women's boxing. You know, I'm not going -550. So I'm not going -550 on very much, to be honest with you, because if I can make more money on investing in some real estate deal, like we're putting some of my money, I'm not going to sit there and put $550 at risk to win $100. Do I think Amanda's winning the fight? Yes. Would I put -550 on anything? No. So I lay off that fight. If I've seen Cruz fight. Cruz isn't beating Amanda unless Amanda's in bad shape, and Amanda's never in bad shape, and I wouldn't touch that fucking fight.
Yeah, it looked like the.
Now that being said, hold on. That being said, I told you this when we were offline before we started the show. I looked at all these fights, and they were so one-sided. And by the way, it's a living advertisement for Teddy Atlas's point of view and pumping the UFC up. When you look at what's on the board, like for right now, if you go to Caesars and you look at all the fights you can gamble on and what's on the board, it's fucking ridiculous, man. It's stupid. And I literally only found one fight where I really thought in my gut the outcome was in doubt out of like 12 things to bet on. So I made an 11-part parlay. And I just took the chalk in 11 fights because I thought there was no chance that the other side could win those fights. It was 11. I took the chalk in 10 fights. And in the other fight, I took the plus 270 on Oshaki Foster. And I bet like $20 just to have some fun. Because I wouldn't touch all of those other bets otherwise. And there's zero chance, unless she breaks her leg in the ring, that Alicia Baumgartner is losing to that girl. None. So, in my mind, zero. I mean,
I find for me, when I bet the women's boxing, I always bet the fight goes the distance because more of them go the distance than not.
Well, if you're not paying a big odd on that, like if you're not, I mean, most of them, very few of these women's fights don't go the distance. There are very few knockout punchers. Now, what's the goes the distance odds in the Serrano Cruz fight? Is it even available?
Let me see if it's available yet. I don't think it's available yet. They usually don't put those type of props up to the week of the fight.
I'd have to look at the odds the week of the fight, and it's possible I would, if I thought the odds were long enough that I put a couple of bucks on Serrano to stop her. Though I think Erica's a tough girl, if nothing else.
Oh yeah, the go to distance is minus 235.
Yeah. Could it be a knockout? Yeah. Could it go the distance? Yeah. Could it be a stoppage? Yeah. So you wait, now you're getting plus what on Amanda to stop her?
Plus 200. And then minus 50 on Amanda by decision, which is probably the best bet. That's the most value out there. Amanda by decision at minus 150.
I don't know, man. Why? Like Amanda could stop her. It could be decision. I think the most likely outcome is Amanda minus 150. I don't see Cruz is not winning a decision. Probably in all. Amanda hasn't really been knocking people out lately. I think she's a clear level above Cruz. I don't think it's a real like unification in the sense that the outcome is in doubt. I don't think so. Mm-hmm. So I think that's probably the best bet on the board. But make no mistake about it, Amanda is one of the few women in boxing that's a legitimate knockout artist, and she has a legitimate chance to knock her out. So, I mean, I honestly don't see a lot of value on any part of that, any place in that fight.
What do you know about this Ponce versus Subriel Matias? You familiar with Jeremias Ponce?
I'm not super familiar with him.
He's the one that couldn't get his visa and they kept having to delay this fight, but he's at a plus 430 and he's a puncher. And Matias is shown he does get hit.
I think that Ponce is more of a live dog than most of what we have available to us in the next 3 or 4 weeks of betting. So look, I have a personal bias when I mess around and gamble, and it is I tend in football sometimes emotion gets in the way, mm-hmm. but if I'm betting on boxing, I'm generally I don't lay on a big favorite, and I tend to like to play around with rooting for a dog if I see some value in the dog or the dog is somewhat live. I think because of his punching power, and I'm looking at his record as I'm speaking to you, and he's not a schnook on paper. Look, Ponce is one of the. I think you mentioned him, frankly, in the fight because it's one of the closer odds of a men's fight in the next month. So if you're in the mood to bet on a dog, I think Ponce is a nice bet, and I think he's certainly, something maybe to throw into a parlay.
And you say you had what, a 11 ticket parlay?
Yeah, I mean, I hope I'll pull it up for you, but I mean, literally most of them, like I have a hard time seeing any of the 10 chalk that I picked losing. Where is it? Okay, I misspoke. It was a 9-leg parlay.
Okay.
Okay. Navarrete, Floyd Schofield, Sergey Boachik, Alicia Baumgartner, Serrano, Alexis Roca, Berturbiev, Beck the Bully, and I told you Oshaki Foster was the one underdog I threw in the parlay.
Okay.
And the odds on that parlay are plus 635.
I got a 16-leg parlay. Let me put it up here on the screen. I got a 16-leg parlay with.
Hold on. Let me see. Oh, yeah, I'm looking. Yeah.
You see it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you did what I almost did. I almost did every one of these bets. Keep going.
You see, I got Schofield. I got Beterbiev by KO. Beck, Rocha, Navarrete, Hitchens, Baumgartner, Serrano, Lee Wood, Ponce, Harrison, Benavidez, Tank, and Devin Haney. Now, see, but my play on this is when it gets to February, I think it's February 4th, or the day that Oshaki Foster fights. Now, if he wins, I'm looking for the cash out. That's the way I'm playing that. If he wins, I'm looking for the cash out. Whatever FanDuel offer me for the cash out, that's what I'm gonna take. Because I don't expect the rest of those bets to win. I'm pretty high on Foster winning that fight. But like Lee Wood, I'm not too sure about. Ponce, I'm not too sure about. So if they offer me a cash out of say $800, I'm gonna take it.
I think Foster is the livest dog on the board right now.
Yep.
So any people listening have some questions here?
Yeah, we got L-Dub, L-Dub Boogs, Broadway Joel.
Yep.
Ari, the usual cast of characters in here listening. But yeah, they had a question. They said, "Why you hating on Crawford?"
I don't know how anyone could read that fucking tweet and think I was hating on Crawford. And like, you know what? Everybody's got butthurt, man. Are people like? I don't understand. Like, I get being a fan, but are people blowing motherfuckers? I don't really get it. Like, I mean, very few people, I think, in the power structure of boxing have been outwardly bigger fans of Bud Crawford than me. I think he's a fucking all-time great fighter, but I think he needs to be able to prove it. And I don't give a fuck who you are. I mean, I think it's a sin that Wilder and Joshua never caused themselves to fight each other when they were undefeated and the fight was worth more money than God. I think it's a horror show that Bo and Lennox Lewis never fought each other when they were at the primes of their career. When the biggest fight for you never happens because the business can't be made, that's terrible, man. So I wasn't shitting on Crawford. I mean, I took the opportunity to take a little dig because I saw his thing, and I really believed every word I said. It's a real horrible thing if you never lose and you never fight the biggest fight or never have the biggest game. Imagine that. Yeah. Imagine like you're undefeated, and the one other NFL team that's out there that's undefeated, you're somehow on different networks, so you never fucking fight. Or, ABC, NBC, ESPN are all offering $1 billion for the fight, but you think you're worth $3 billion. I don't give a shit. If it never happens, that's fucking wrong. That's off. I didn't like it. It blows my mind how sensitive
I remember
people are. So I don't really give a fuck. I don't believe I hated on Bud. I'm a big fan of Bud, and I think like I've said this a million fucking times, and I love how people cherry pick what they want to fucking be big mad about or comment on or be keyboard warriors. I've said a million times. It takes two to tango, and it takes two not to.
Yep.
Right, it takes both sides to make a deal, and it takes both sides to fuck a deal up.
Yep. Yeah. All right. L-Dub want to know if is the IBF 147 women's vacant, and if so, will Mary McGee fight for it soon?
I don't. You know what? I don't know the answer to that question. I know that Brian Cohen, who manages Mary, and is very, very up on, the ratings and where things stand. I got to go over and check on that. Honestly, but if it is, we'd love to have Mary fight for that title. You know, it's really weird with women's boxing lately because there are organizations that don't even have ratings that are ordering mandatories, right? But like, so I never know who's vacant, who's not vacant, who's being stripped. The whole thing. Hey, look, right now, I'm more concentrated on trying to get Charles Conwell to fight with. There's been no mandatories of the middleweight title of the BC with Charlo in 2 years. Like he hasn't defended the belt in 2 years, and there's been no mandatory for Fundora.
They need to put Charlo champion in recess and let Adames fight.
Well, no, they don't have to do that, man. They already have a interim champion, and it's Sebastian Fundora at 150.
No, I'm talking about at 160.
Oh, 160. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I was actually getting confused. I was talking about 154 because Charlo's injured, right? And he was gonna fight Zoo, and now Zoo's fighting Tony Harrison for another organization, right? So Zoo and Tony Harrison are out of the WBC ratings.
Yeah.
Right. Fundora, who I'm a big fan of Fundora, and I think he's a bitch to fight because of the size and the reach and everything else. But he's the interim champion, and he's supposed to have a mandatory. Now, who's the leading available contender? Well, the leading available contender's not available because Liam Smith is fighting that rematch with the dude he just knocked out, right? So who's the leading available contender? It's Charles Conwell, who already fought an eliminator for the BC title. Now, wouldn't Fundora and Charles Conwell be a hell of a fight for fans? I think so.
Yes, it would.
So I sent an official letter to the WBC this week based upon the state of the ratings and where things have been, you know, petitioning them to order Fundora against Charles Conwell.
But you got to slide some money in that letter with it.
I don't slide shit, and you know what? Like honestly, when you look at the ratings, what's Fundora going to do? You know, you already heard that he's not fighting Danny Garcia, and look, there's got to be, you know, it's been a lot of struggle. Charles Conwell's had to fight for low money. We've had to do what was necessary to move him in the rankings. He's on top of almost every organization. He's somewhere between number 2 and number 5. The man's earned the fucking shot. And what like you got a champion at 154 in the BC who's not fighting? What you're going to have a interim champion that won't fight a mandatory either? Come on. And when the mandatory or the fight you're going to order is legitimately one of the best guys, it's funny. The fights don't get ordered then, and you never hear the other promoter says, "Oh, well, we have to fight that fight." But if some promoter with a platform wants to buy a cheap fight and there's a mandatory who's a stooge, they'll jump all over it because they can negotiate their A side down saying, well, it's not a commercially big fight, right? And you have to fight your mandatory.
Yeah.
Right. But when a Charles Conwell's there that might beat your guy's ass or at least has some attractiveness to the fans, and you and I know that Fundora and Conwell would be a betting fight, all of a sudden you don't see anybody screaming for the fight, do you?
True. I didn't know he was that close up in it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna start saying
it. He fought for number 2. You know, he fought a secondary eliminator on the undercard of Prograis and Zepeda as the co-feature. You know, it was a tough fight too. He beat that Mexican dude, but it was a good fight.
Yep.
You know, but the guy, like, you know, and look at Conwell's record, man. It's not like we haven't fought people. He's fought whoever would fight him. You know,
now well, shit, I forgot. Old boy ain't with you, but
by the way, we're supposed to be talking about gambling. Do you want to discuss the football this weekend or no?
We already went through the gambling. Look, the football this weekend, Cincinnati gonna win, and Cincinnati going to the Super Bowl, and we gonna win it. That's the football this weekend. How your Giants doing, Lou?
Let's not talk about the Giants today. I like Cincinnati, and I like the Eagles minus the 2.5.
The Eagles minus the 2.5.
Yeah, I like the Eagles, and I like the Bengals.
Okay, I'm gonna put that down on my bet because I've been trying to figure out what to bet on the football this weekend. But look, how hard is it for you? I mean, for when it comes to like, I always see people say he should activate his mandatory. What does that mean? Like, activate your mandatory?
There's no such thing as activating a mandatory, man. You could activate your mandatory and you could sit there for 3 fucking years if there's bigger economic alternatives for the organization. People who want to make believe that boxing is fair are fucking stupid. People that think that the 4 organizations help boxing are fucking stupid. People who think that the exclusive network deals are helping big fights happen are fucking stupid. And you know, I'm not trying to be offensive, but like all this shit is pretty self-evident, man. There's no other sport that works in a way where so many forces of power in the sport stop events from happening.
Exactly. Well, we talked about that before. We need the exclusive network deals is what's really, really killing the fight game. Well, like people like to talk about HBO, but back then HBO just bought the best fight available. There was no exclusivity, right? No,
we never had exclusivity, and in fact, the first exclusive deal in terms of pay-per-view or in closed circuit and premium cable was when Don King left HBO to go to Showtime.
Yep.
And he had an exclusive, but and frankly, it at the time it wasn't the stupidest thing for Showtime because they were much smaller. We were like HBO was like a snowball rolling down a mountain and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And King had a lot of talent. And when King fell out with Seth Abraham and HBO, he was able to bring some content to Showtime that wouldn't otherwise gotten. So it wasn't. Jay Larkin was there at the time, and a bunch of other people, and it wasn't the stupidest thing that they did. But honestly, you know, they got exclusivity, but we still kicked their ass. And why? Why? Primarily because we weren't exclusive, and everybody else came to us, and even Don came to us if the event was big enough.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, exclusivity doesn't help anybody, and also, you know, I don't even understand the hardcore. You have a silly hardcore fan base when people give a shit about who the promoter is and who the manager is and shit like that. Who gives a fuck other than when your team stinks and you know that you have a dysfunctional owner? Who gives a fuck who owns your baseball team or football team? Or who cares? Like, you think people care who the GM is or who they care if you're winning or losing, and then they react to that. But we sit there and we're not getting the quality of product we deserve. We're not getting the biggest fights. And you see fanboys and fangirls for particular promotions and particular networks. Stop.
I think that's one of the reasons why, because people just want to root for a team. It's natural for people to root for a team. So people have picked the promotions of the network as their team to root for.
Nah, that's stupid, bro.
That's what I think it is.
Yeah,
but what's going on with the baseball team? You told me you give me 30 minutes. We are at 32, so I want to make sure you plug your baseball team.
Richmond Flying Squirrels, the AA San Francisco Giants in Richmond, Virginia. We're in the process of trying to get a new stadium, but we're one of the highest drawing teams in minor league baseball. So if you're in the Richmond area, which is one of the coolest cities to visit, great distilleries and microbreweries and great foodie town, and it's cool, on that border between north and south, but great southern food and a really cool place. Come to see the Richmond Flying Squirrels. And if you're down in Alabama, Montgomery area, the Montgomery Biscuits, we play at Riverwalk Stadium downtown Montgomery. If you haven't been to Montgomery, it's like the civil rights capital of the South right now. And the Legacy Museum is down there, the lynching monument is down there, the Equal Justice Initiative headquarters, Rosa Parks house. If you're, particularly if you're black, frankly, if you're white, you need to go there because you need to learn something about Black history. But if you're black, it's such a part of American history, what went down in Montgomery. And we're really right down our ballpark in the middle of everything. And you could, there's a great little hotel. It's not that expensive, right near our ballpark. And you go down there, there's great food, great stuff to see. And you'll learn something and then come down to Riverwalk Stadium and watch the Montgomery Biscuits.
Okay. L-Dub said he's looking forward to that card you got on Showbox this weekend. It's coming up in February. Yeah,
there's some good fights on it. We got Ardreal Holmes fighting this kid Villarreal, who's with Main Events. It's like a 50-50 fight. The card's like it's really good. It's gonna be super competitive fights, 50-50 fights. And I think that it's got a great main event, and yeah, definitely don't miss it.
All right. And Ray Jackson said he want to buy you lunch for that Crawford tweet.
You know, man, I got to tell you, I was real. I actually, I thought my tweet was sort of funny, but I thought I was trying to make an important point, which is like, you know, Bud can think what he wants, right? About I'm my own man, I'm my own boss. I respect that, and by the way, the other thing that's funny is all these people that are mad at me for thinking I picked on Bud. I was all over saying that if that guy got 10 million, Bud got $10 million to fight that boy Avanesian. God bless him, man. He made a better business deal than almost anyone in boxing in 2022. So, like, I wasn't hating on him. I was like, take the fucking money. Hell yeah. Right? Like, I'm not hating on him. However, I consider him to be a GOAT. But I consider him to be an uncrowned GOAT. You want to be the real GOAT, you got to beat the best guy out there other than yourself.
Yep.
And I refuse to say Spence is the best either. You got to beat. And if Spence moves up a weight and they never meet and Bud stays at 47, then that's tragic for both of them, man.
Yep.
And they're both partially responsible. But I've said that consistently forever. Dude, we're a fucking joke as a sport. Wake the fuck up. We're a fucking joke.
Yep. Because
we can't make our Super Bowl happen. We suck.
You know what I noticed when Bud announced his fight with Avanesian, I saw a lot of people who don't follow boxing say, "What happened to the Spence fight?" And then when they started talking about Spence versus Thurman, I saw a lot of people that don't really follow boxing said, "What happened to the Crawford fight?" So that fight had people who don't watch boxing ready for it, and they thought that fight was going to happen.
Yeah, but you know the funny part is we need to get we are in such shape right now that in order to do 500,000 buys or 400,000 buys, look, Davis is a major attraction, right? But he's a major attraction in today's boxing. Those numbers wouldn't have been a major attraction 2 decades ago or a decade ago, right? But and he's the one thing Davis does is he has a loyal fan base, particularly in the Northeast, a very loyal fan base, and he style, his punching power. The hardcore boxing fan considers him must-see TV. And that's why below Canelo, he's one of our biggest attractions, right? But in order to do 500,000 buys, you need to have like a fight like a Ryan Garcia fight. Yep. And a Ryan Garcia fight's still not going to do 1 million buys. And that's no one's fault. No fucking way.
It does 1 million.
No, you're wrong. You're
if that comes on the line, I'm going to bet the over.
Well, then you're going to lose your fucking money, brother. I'll book that bet for you. I'll book that bet for you. And not because I don't want it to. Of course I wanted to. But remember something. Most of the recent fights of Ryan have been on DAZN. How many people have seen them?
That's true.
How many casuals? You don't understand casuals. Our casuals are more casual than they've ever been casual, bro. They're so fucking casual, you barely know them. Tell the truth.
Look, I know it's
dude. I can walk into a cocktail party and I can say Jake Paul, and most of the room might know who the fuck him and his brother are. But I say Crawford and Spence, and most of the room don't know who the fuck they are. Almost nobody. Nobody.
Now that's the one that would have had a hard time reaching 600,000, in my opinion.
It's not reaching 600,000, probably.
Yeah, especially now if it happens and you mash them up with all these other pay-per-views right in the middle.
Yeah, but you don't understand something, man. When was the last time Canelo the number? Forget about. First of all, who gives a fuck about what numbers are? I'm only illustrating numbers as an indication of where our sport presently is.
Yeah.
Until we can start doing millions of homes, because our fighters are pop culture figures. Hey, I'm a hip hop fan, man. I know more about hip hop than most of the fucking people that listen to Chicken Talk. Okay, but when you look at hip hop over the years, since the inception of hip hop's always been connected to boxing, and boxers' names would always pop up in hip hop songs constantly. Yep. And there were all sorts of songs that were about knock them out, or there was all these boxing was hugely a part of it. Right now, other than Davis, maybe one or two other guys cannot. Most of our guys, they don't cross into pop culture. They don't. No one gives a fuck. And by the way, I don't give a who you are, motherfucker. If you fight once every 2 years, no one gives a shit.
Yep.
Not many people you think, if you're not fighting regularly, if you're not in the public eye regularly, people forget you, man.
Yep.
People die and they're forgotten.
That's because they had one fight and then they disappeared. I mean, even in between their fights, they don't even stay in the public eye. That's one thing Ryan does do. When he's not fighting, he's still in the public eye.
No, Ryan, even though Ryan is a streaming fighter, he's been a DAZN fighter, he's been a streaming fighter, and that limits your exposure. The kid understands continuing to contact with his fans and communicate with people, and he's managed to keep himself big and relevant even without ESPN or Showtime or some other linear form of television, right?
Yeah.
But he's one of the very few.
I mean, but why do you think that is? Like, I've contacted some boxers or reached out to some fighters.
Right. By
like,
the way, I just saw a comment from Xena 360, but he's right. I mean, Davis and Wilder are the names you hear most often in rap right now, if you hear any. But by the way, it ain't like the old days, man.
Floyd and Zab did a whole video with Wu-Tang.
Dude, my name's in about 6 rap songs. I mean, seriously, like the boxing was so like the 90s, the early 2000s, man, it was everywhere. Roy Jones and Tyson and Holyfield and their names were Lewis. Their names were in gazillions of songs. There's a book on the Hamilcar is the company that published the book Beatboxing about the connection between boxing and hip hop, and they have a whole section at the end where they give you references to fighters contained in hip hop, artists' work, and it'll blow your mind how many fighters and fight people were referenced in hip hop. Look, I got a shitload of friends that are hip hop artists. Anyone who knows me knows that, and the reason is because I'm a fan of their stuff. They've been a fan of what I worked in, and we over the years, we cross paths, continually, and I like what they do, and I guess they like our world. But right now we are less a part of pop culture than we have been in my lifetime.
Yeah. No, this isn't the move away from spaces, Devin. Lou just did me a solid and came on my YouTube live. Did me a favor. Because I got a little channel and maybe people be like, Lou's on there, I should follow him.
Lefty, I got to jump off now because I have to help the guy who's fixing my TV set move the TV back on the wall, and my dog.
You should have, man. I hang TVs for a living. Also, I do everything. You should have hollered at me. I would have came to New York and put the TV up there.
Yeah, well, unless you were willing to fly to New York for a steak to fix my TV, I'm using the guy who's local. All right, Lefty. Always a pleasure, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate it a lot, Lou. I really
take care, man.
Yeah.
Be good.
All right, y'all. Yeah, it's a lot of hip hop. How do you remove people? Okay, I see. Okay, yeah, but it's a lot of it's a lot of hip hop. There did used to be a lot of hip hop people in a lot of hip hop and boxing and hip hop. That was like the two things. And if you notice, Gervonta Davis, a lot of people do go to his fights. If anybody want to join, I just put the link right there. But a lot of people do go to his fights. I can't put my own self in timeout. A lot of people do go to Gervonta Davis fights from the hip hop community. And then you got even like the YouTube and the Instagram and the Twitter comedians. They always reference him like Drewski. What's the other dude name? Ha Davis. So. That's what, even Roy Jones. Yep, that was Fat Joe. Separation from the roots. Pharoah Monch rapped about Compy Box. Yep. Most of these new rappers trash. That ain't true. Benny the Butcher. Yeah, that is true. Anybody want to jump in? You can jump in, or I'm gonna go ahead and end it. And because I gotta be somewhere at 5:00 myself. You remember AJ? Floyd Mayweather. You remember Filthy Rich Records with Floyd Mayweather? You remember what up, Rod? You remember what was another one? Adrian Broner had his own rap label too, and he has a song. You heard Banks reference Tanky Garcia recently. Yeah, that's really about the only one. I'm not sure how the other communities are, but I know I'm not sure how the other communities are, but I know do the Mexican community, I don't know what you call Mexican music. Do Mexican music reference Canelo?
They actually, I've heard some corridos, the narco corridos. They've mentioned Floyd Mayweather actually. And I've also Dominican Dembow music. They've also referenced Mayweather. But yeah, I haven't heard many of the corridos mention Canelo though.
Matter of fact, Shakur Stevenson, Jared Anderson are with hip hop promoter manager Jay Prince.
Oh, Jay Prince, right.
Yeah, Jay Prince. So, I mean, the infrastructure is there.
One of the rappers, he's more of an underground rapper, but he's a big boxing fan. What's his name? Ransom from New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, he mentions like, you know, Aaron Pryor and Bivol and like fighters like, you know, like everybody knows Tyson and Floyd, like, you know, it may make a reference to one of those guys. Like he really makes references to, you know, to catch weights and shit like that. So he's like a real hardcore. I try to interview him, but he hasn't responded to me.
That's too bad. I listen to that. And then you got what's my man named Glasses Malone. He's a rapper. All he talk about on Twitter is boxing.
Well, he jumped on a few spaces, right?
Yeah.
He jumped on a few spaces and was talking to us especially when there was the bus going around with Spence versus Crawford.
Yeah, that let a lot of people down, man. That's what I was saying. I've seen people when Crawford announced his fight, everybody was like, "Well, what happened to the Spence fight?" Then when the Spence versus Thurman fight started coming, they was like, "Well, what happened to the Crawford fight?" So a lot of people that don't follow boxing day to day like we do, they were really looking forward to that fight, which is a shame it didn't happen, man. But it is what it is. I don't think it's ever gonna happen. So
yeah, it's like it's one of those fights. It's like, you know, Lewis Bowe we never got. We got fucking Brooke Khan way too late. We got Floyd Mayweather versus Pacquiao. I don't want to say way too late, but definitely later than we wanted it. It's just the boxing has a history of sometimes not giving us the biggest fights we want.
Khan Brooke is a perfect example of a fight that was way too late.
Way too late. That would have been. I was really interested in that fight back when they were like 25 years old or roughly around that age. I was really interested in that fight.
Same.
Hey, Lefty, what do you think? What do you think of? It sounds like they're putting the Vasily Lomachenko versus Devin Haney in Vegas, May 20th.
It's in Vegas.
In Vegas, May 20th. They haven't decided a venue yet, but that's what it's looking like. Bill Haney said it's May 20th for sure, but they have to solidify the venue. But it looks like it's going to Vegas, according to Mike Coppinger.
That's better than the Middle East, but I'm not going to Vegas for that fight. I'm not going to Vegas for. If Spence Thurman is there, I'm not going. If that fight is there, I'm not going. I was hoping that fight would be at MSG because I would have went to that.
Yeah, I think that I thought it was a fight that belongs at MSG, New York City, man, because I feel like a lot of the people who showed up. Vegas, I think it's a little more expensive to go over there to watch that fight.
Vegas, I don't know if I could do that again. The hotel is expensive. The food is the tickets are expensive. Then you want to gamble, and then if motherfuckers want to hit a club, you end up spending $3-4 grand out there.
And for 3-4, and that's what I was thinking. I'm not going to Ryan versus Tank probably either if it's in Vegas because that shit gonna be ridiculous, man.
Yeah,
that shit is gonna be ridiculous that weekend.
I don't get enough super chats to go.
No, hell no.
Yo, motherfuckers, man. Yo, you my favorite YouTube channel. Motherfuckers, send a super chat. I'm your favorite. Buy a shirt.
Yeah, I don't think I'm doing that either. Or even if they have the only fight I was going out there for was Spence versus Crawford. And you went out there for the Martin versus Rivera fight, right? So that wasn't even like a big fight where the prices go up.
Yeah, I went as media, so I have to buy a ticket. But the hotel, the food, the getting around, I ended up doing the math. I ended up spending a lot of money. I'm like, yo.
So now imagine what it's gonna be like for Crawford for Tank versus Ryan.
Yeah,
crazy.
I do hope they put that fight in a stadium though, because at least if it's in a stadium, more people can go.
No, it's not even that though. It's everything. You end up spending.
No, I hear what you're saying. Everything else is expensive. Yeah, because you got to get flight, hotel, food, and then you got to get around the place.
Money. Yeah, man, it's mad expensive. Yeah. Although I do get mad great content out there. I'm cool with Bob Santos, so I be going to the gym and shit, and he lets me do whatever. So I want to move out there.
You want to move out to Vegas?
Yeah, because that's what that's where most of the boxers train. Like, so, and you get cool with people, you get access to.
Is that from Floyd, or was boxers training out there before Floyd?
Nah.
I think.
Vegas
Well, I wouldn't say Floyd started it, but I feel like he kind of started that whole thing of like, I'm a Vegas fighter, so this is where I'm gonna live, this is where I'm gonna train, and this is where it's at. So I don't know if he started it, but I think Floyd definitely had influence on it.
Yeah, I, now that I'm thinking about it, I remember Big Bear and like these mountainous place, and there was a spot in Pennsylvania in the Poconos where a lot of guys go. But now you're right. I didn't even think about it. Now it's Vegas.
Yeah.
Yo, Vegas
it used to be Big Bear, Catskill, Poconos.
I remember, and now it's Vegas. Like,
shit, matter of fact, even Northern Michigan. They said a lot of guys used to train up in Northern Michigan, the UP. They had a Olympic. You know how they got the Olympic Training Center in Boulder,
in Colorado. Yeah,
they used to have one of those in the UP in Michigan, and fighters used to go up there and train too.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, Vegas is dope to train because one, you could, if you want to train in like extreme heat conditions, there's that. And if you like the mountainous kind of training field, there's a mountain called Mount Charleston.
Yeah.
Bob Santos takes all those Dominicans over there and runs that mountain. And so they all tell me like it's killer and it's cold. They have to wear like a jacket and a hoodie and all that. One time Hector showed me something where it was snowing on the mountain. And so like you could get that feel and then you just drive back down to Vegas and now you're back to regular weather. Well, Vegas weather.
How's the elevation of those mountains?
No, it's high. It's high.
It's high elevation? Okay. So yeah, that's good.
That's what they say. You running up a hill and it's high elevation. So, that shit is taking your breath away and you're running up against, gravity. Yeah. Yeah,
but next week I'm gonna do another boxing show if they announce some more fights, and Cliff Rowe gonna join me. So I don't know if anybody bet and y'all want to get on the panel next week. Let me know. I don't know who we really be betting on boxing like that, except for a couple people.
Yeah, I'm looking at that Ponce fight, man. I'm thinking of Parlay and Ponce and Foster. Those are two live underdogs.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of just not betting a lot, but just parlaying that and see what I can get.
Yeah, I got them both in the parlay. But like I said, I'm looking for the cash out. After Foster win, they offer me a cash out. I'm taking it, man.
Bro, you betting 3/4, man. Like I'm not. I'm not taking it.
I think I bet $10 on this one because I'm paying for the parlay. I'm not playing for.
See, but I don't like betting. I don't like betting. Like if I'm gonna bet, I'll do like the weekend thing. I don't do like multiple fights that are like on different weekends and shit like that.
But you can't. One thing about the weekend thing, the odds be so terrible. You gotta parlay them.
I know. Fucking Cowboys fucked up my parlay when I did the four, last week.
I cashed out.
I didn't cash out, bro. I had the option to cash out and I didn't cash out because I really believe the Cowboys are gonna fucking win.
I'm not greedy like that.
No, I'm not either. But I'm a Cowboys fan, so I was like, oh, we're gonna get this, and then sure enough, we fucking lost. Fucked up my whole parlay.
You betting with your heart, bro.
You can't bet with your heart at all.
No, listen, I agree 100%. It's just this one time is because I'm a Cowboys fan, so I was like, we're gonna win.
I never bet on the Wilder fight, even though I know he'll win. Even if the fights I knew he was gonna win, I still never bet on him.
Yeah, I mean, shit.
I don't bet on the Lions. I don't bet on the Pistons. I don't bet with my heart at all.
I'll be betting on the Jets, man.
Can't do it, man. I gotta watch my favorites in peace.
Yo, man. Man, being a Jet fan is hard, bro. It's hard. That's why when people clown me about the Dominican boxing, I'm like, bro, I'm tried and tested, man.
Mm-hmm.
I can get through this pain, man.
First time, long time watcher, first time caller, Carson. You see Carson.
I linked up with Carson in Vegas. We had some tacos out there, man. Shout out to Carson. That's my man.
He's a Vegas guy. I don't know what he does out there. It seems like he just be on Twitter harassing me all day, so I don't know what he does out in Vegas. So now he's come to YouTube to harass me because he missed me on Twitter harassing me.
Broadway, have you spoken to Michelle lately?
No, I don't know what's going on with Michelle, and I think he thinks I want to interview with him, and I'm just calling him just to see how he's doing. I don't know if he's just locked in because I don't know if you follow him on Instagram. He's locked in the gym. He's back in it, like hitting it hard. So I don't know if it's that. I don't know if he's just like, man, I don't want to give Broadway an interview, or like not on some like I'm not fucking with him, on some like he's a bit embarrassed that he lost or whatever, especially how he lost. I don't know. He hasn't been picking up my phone calls, but I spoke to his father yesterday. His father just told me like he's locked in heavy, like he really, really like, and that's why I fucking love Michelle. His father just told me, he's like, yo, that shit turned him to a fucking demon. Like he's in the gym like nonstop now. He's running, he's doing all types of shit. So it could just be that he's locked in, and he just probably sees my call and he's too busy and forgets to fucking call me back. But he's training really, really hard from everything I've heard and seen. He was when he was on vacation in DR. I don't know if you know the Olympic gold medalist Andy Cruz, the Cuban. He lives in DR.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I saw that too. You posted.
He lives in DR. Yo, Michelle would look for him, went to his gym and wanted to work out with him, and they worked out to them with each other. Andy was teaching them some workouts with like a tennis ball or something like that helps with your hand-eye coordination. And then they went to a resort in Punta Cana, and that supposedly like he was just in the gym just like working out the whole time, and like his father's like, yo, like we here to vacation, you just came from a training camp, and he's like he wants to get back in championship status and shit, and he don't want to get comfortable.
Yeah.
So he like I'm that shit really.
Did you try to get Andy Cruz on the show?
I did, but they told me that they're not doing interviews.
You see, what was we just talking about? Ain't that part of what we was just talking about? Me and Lou.
Yeah.
I must have missed that part. What happened?
No, we was just talking about how fighters ain't they ain't really out here like they used to be. How everybody knew of Floyd. Even before Floyd was Money Mayweather, everybody knew who Floyd was because of just getting himself constantly in the public eye, be it through hip hop, whatever. Even like Ryan Garcia, constantly, even when he ain't fighting, he doesn't disappear. These fighters just disappear. I mean, to be honest, nobody gives a fuck about Andy Cruz, okay? Until he gives us a reason to give a fuck about him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of these boxers have a inflated opinion of themselves when it comes to, because a lot of hardcores know you, but in order to get outside that hardcore audience, you got to really put yourself out here. You ain't got to be out here being on Instagram star, nothing like that, but just be accessible to the fan. This is different than 20, 30 years ago. Fans want content and they want to be accessible to you.
Yeah. From what I understand, he said that, well, this was told to me secondhand, that like his people don't want him giving interviews just yet. That once he gets the clearance, like I've been having that. Well, I haven't hit up Subriel Matias peoples yet, but I was having that problem with Subriel Matias people. Like they need clearance from like their boss or some shit. I'm like,
yeah, like who are you guys to be, bro? Like
shit is weird. I'm like,
yeah,
bro,
that's what I'm saying. Is like that's why I think it's crazy that these fighters don't. And this is why I kept telling you, and I even told Elvis's manager, and I was like, yo, these Dominican guys, like, I know the humility, and I'm not saying don't like, just be yourself, but don't, don't, like, the fans want to hear from you. If you want support, the fans want to hear from you, interact with the fans. There's no fucking better way to do it than on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Instagram, like, I don't have Instagram, right? So, but what I'm saying is like, okay, IG, you put up a video, and that's it, right? People watch it. That's cool.
If people watch it, comment. Yeah.
People watch it, comment,
Twitter
whatever.
Is more of an interactive.
Nah, but hold on. Carlos Adames was mad active on Twitter at one point, and he wasn't getting no traction.
Did people know who it was? I didn't even know he had a Twitter.
He put out a few tweets. I retweet him when he does. He doesn't. I think it's hard because I don't know. I guess a lot of people don't really know him like that.
Well, you should host a space with him on Twitter.
That's what I'm saying. I think Broadway, you should get on a fucking space and get him on, or get him on Chicken Talk, and we'll interpret for him, whatever, man.
I mean, even for us, like me, you, Broadway, our communities were built on Twitter, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, and now you go into fights, covering fights, getting media passes and everything through the community that you built on Twitter, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so it's like that is a excuse me. I had a YouTuber hit me up and asked me how did I get interviews to this guy? I told him, bro, I got interviews from bullshitting on Twitter, which is the truth. Just being on Twitter, cracking jokes and bullshit.
Yeah, that's how because I had no idea how to get a media pass.
Yeah.
I was on there, you know me, you know how I get on the spaces just talking my shit, and then somebody told me, yo, hit up KB.
Yeah.
I hit him up and he's like, yeah, I got you. Yeah, the Puello Aquador. Oh yeah, I got you. Don't worry about it. Just here's the link, apply. I was like, oh. And he knows I'm a serious guy and I do interviews. So I ain't need to prove myself to him. He knows the work I'm putting in.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, yeah, don't worry. Just apply, then send me an email and I'll have you approved. And that's exactly what happened.
It was through the community that you built on Twitter. Like, I don't know, just in my opinion, because Instagram is good for people I wouldn't say really for building a community and interacting. Excuse me. YouTube is good for an echo chamber, but Twitter is like really that place to be if you want to build your network, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like in Twitter, at least we can, like when you host the spaces, right? We get to ask questions directly to the fighters, right? And we can crack jokes. They're cool, whatever. It's fun. Yeah. But I feel like on IG yeah, those guys go live sometime, but they go live with people they know, right? And you could go in and watch it, but they're just doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if boxers are actually allowing fans to jump on their live, ask questions and shit like that. I don't think they're doing that. So.
Yeah, no. And most of the comments, they going so fast. It's not that they're ignoring you. It's just that they don't see them because they're going so fast. Yeah, I think that Twitter Space is a nice little, like even with this with YouTube Live, there's only so many people can get on here and speak.
Yeah, Twitter. Honestly, how I found Twitter Spaces, right? I don't know if y'all know who Gary V is, but Gary V was saying, he was like, you got to build a community if you want, this is when I was starting my YouTube shit. And he was, like he was saying, you got to build a community. So I was just tweeting out a bunch of boxing stuff. Like,
yeah, nobody cares, bro.
3 followers. I was just tweeting out. And then somehow I was like, what's this purple stuff on top? And it was a space. I hopped on. I remember I was hogging the mic, not knowing the etiquette. I got kicked off. It wasn't your space. It was somebody else's space. I got kicked off, and then I was like, yo, why did dude kick me off? And I was thinking, I was like, damn, I was talking for mad long, interrupting people. And I was like, all right. And then the next time I hopped on, I kind of figured it, took my turn. And then it got to the point where motherfuckers just knew who I was. Oh, shit, it's Broadway. Oh, this, that. Oh, who you interviewing next? And then it just, snowballed.
And that's how, and that's how, especially on Twitter, you got to reply. You got to be a reply guy first before you can be a tweet guy. Because if you just tweeting, ain't nobody gonna pay attention to you. But if you're in the replies, everybody gonna see your reply. But if you just tweeting and they don't follow you, they're not gonna see your tweet.
Nah, for sure. Definitely, yeah. Interaction is important, man. Interacting and honestly being courageous to ask for an interview. A lot of like, yo, I don't know. How should I go about it? Motherfucker, he's a human. Just fucking DM him. That's it. I don't know what to tell you.
That's exactly how Ray got big, Boxer. I used to have more followers than Ray, but that's exactly how he got big, especially with the Spence Crawford stuff. Ray.
Ray's fucking hilarious, bro.
Yeah.
He has Twitter broken down to a science.
Yeah.
He got
He knows how to get engagement, bro. He
Yep.
knows how to get engagement and get views and shit. It's
I
funny.
got to give him credit, man. Credit when credit is deserved, man. I ended up biting the bullet to follow him because I didn't used to follow him because of the like I be having my son around, my girl around. Like, oh, I can't be having this. Well, I was like, you know what? Fuck it, man. He's so funny. I have to follow him.
Yeah, but that's like I was telling this guy on here. Us smaller guys, smaller content creators, not the traditional media. We got to go through other means of getting in touch with these fighters. We can you can go through the promoters or managers or PR. They probably ain't gonna look. They'll probably look at you and just throw that shit away.
Yeah,
it's a fighter who I was CC'd on the email with his manager and no response. And the guy that emailed him is a guy that knows him personally, and no response. So you know what I'm saying? Like, we ain't big enough for them. So
no, and honestly, yo, I'll be watching everything. Yo, us little guys, like for lack of a better term, A-Side, me, you. Yo, our interviews be a lot better than these big major platforms. They be asking dumbass shit. I'm like, or questions that everybody. I like put it like. Let me put it like this for an example. When I was in Vegas, they did a round table for Hector Luis Garcia, and they didn't have nobody to translate, so they put me there. So I was translating for all. So everybody got a one-on-one with Hector.
wow.
Yeah, and everybody was asking the same exact question. So somebody would come, ask, and it was the same, like, how do you feel about him moving up? Is the weight a problem? Do you feel disrespected that they're calling you a tune-up? Do you feel disrespected that he already has a fight lined up? Everybody was asking those questions.
Questions. That's why, yep.
I'm like, yo.
That's why all the interviews written say the same goddamn thing. That is true.
I'm like, yo, what the fuck? There's no creativity. So then I was the last one to ask a question. I was like, thank God I saw, because I already know he was dead tired about answering the questions. When I saw, well, me and him got a relationship, so it's different. Yeah. But I was clowning, well, not clowning him. I was like, damn, bro, you're looking like a model, because he was there in the suit. He had a little chain on. He had shades. He was looking fresh. You could tell he just got a haircut. I was like, you looking fresh. You looking like a model. So then I started talking about his social media following, how he went from 9,000 to 100,000 once he got the Tank fight, and how that's changed his interaction on social media. And he gave me like really good answers. And I'm like, I definitely got way better answers than all these guys, because everybody else just asks the same fucking questions.
Yep.
I think once Hector's ready to to get back into training and fight whatever, man, we got to get him on Chicken Talk too, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like these guys got to get active on Twitter, man.
Yeah,
and interact with the fans.
I'm gonna be doing it on Twitter, but it'll be posted on YouTube later in the day.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that Fulton interview, man.
That's what she was
when he comes on.
I love how
I'm looking forward to that Inoue interview that I'm gonna get.
Hey, get it, man. Do your thing.
I'm manifesting that one.
That would be dope if you get a Japanese. I interviewed a Brazilian and I had a Portuguese translator.
I know it's a couple Japanese accounts started following me, so I think
you'll be able to find one.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure I'll be able to find one.
Yeah, there was a middleweight Olympic gold medalist. He won it in the last round, and he needed the knockout to win. It was a pretty nasty knockout too. It was dope. So I was like, let me DM this dude. And he was like, yeah, he's with it for an interview. This is when I was like a rookie. Before I was the voice of Dominican boxing. I was like, oh shit. I inquired about a fucking Portuguese translator. I ended up paying her like $20, $30 or something like that. And she came on and she was on the call with us. And he translated. She was translating. I got all his interview.
Okay, we'll see. Anyway, all right, y'all. I got to be out of here at 5, so I got to get ready. I appreciate everybody stopping through.
Yeah, all right, man. We'll catch you later.
Everybody hit that like and subscribe button.
Oh, yeah, yep. Hit the like and subscribe. How many subscribers do I have?
580 something last I checked.
Yeah, we got to get you to 1,000, man. At least.
We got to get you monetized. Get you to 1,000. Also, go to my channel, too, if y'all feeling friendly. Go to Broadway Joel's channel. Hit that like and subscribe on any video, man.
Broadway Joel, the voice of Dominican boxing.
Facts.
All right.
Facts.
All right,
All
y'all. Y'all take it easy.
Later.